What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Nehemiah, aka Neo, and today we're just gonna be talking about the NBA in general. Tomorrow, I'm probably gonna be talking more in depth about the NBA, and maybe a second video about like a specific team or something. But so far, what we're getting from the NBA is actually really solid, and I really like what we're getting so far. But let's get into it. So, first things first, I want to talk more so about my surprises in the NBA. So let me just pull up some of my biggest surprises. The Los Angeles Lakers, because Anthony Davis has been on a roll. Let's just talk about him. Probably gonna have a short about him too, because he's actually been playing really, really solid games. Shai Gilgeous Alexander is another player who is one of the more enigma type of players in my opinion. He's like a really, really, really big breakout player. I've always thought he was a really good, solid player. He's been averaging like essentially the same split since his third year. But the thing is, he never really played consistently until now, which is one of the really bigger parts that I really was like skeptical on. And seeing how he's doing so far is really, really good. I would say that the whole Cleveland Cavaliers roster has been really surprising for most people. That's surprised me. I knew about this team, but y'all didn't. I think another team that kind of did surprise people was the Atlanta Hawks. Again, they didn't surprise me, they surprised y'all. Same thing for the Portland Trailblazers and the Utah Jazz. I did the Sacramento Kings, but the Sacramento Kings are also actually, you know what? We're not even just gonna talk about the Sacramento Kings. I already did a video on them, but shout out to them. Them boys and Sac are actually doing really, really well. I really think that this is a really good game or a really good, like, nice start for the season for them. I hope that they can continue with this because I think that this has to be their playoff season. This has to be their playoff season. For the Utah Jazz, it's more so like their really big brand of basketball is just like passing. They're a really good pass heavy team, and honestly, that's really good to see because I think that when we were looking at this roster initially, people were just thinking, oh well, this team is just a bunch of meh. But right now, Larry Markkinen is playing like honestly an all star. Like just cut the bullshit. He's an all star. Even a guy like Jordan Clarkson, he's actually playing really solid right now. He could maybe be traded to another team later on, depending on how the Utah Jazz want to go about their season. Mike Conley hasn't been the best shooting wise, but personally, that's not what you really like care for. What you really care for is more so the playmaking, and he's been a really solid playmaker. So yeah, Kelly Olynyk has been a pretty solid center for them too. And there have been games where Malik Beasley was just like a torch on the offensive end. One thing I do want to see more is Colin Sexton. Once he's like fully back from his injury, I want to see how he's going to be playing. And yeah, we're about like 20 games in. Yeah, I think he's going to start playing a lot more heavy minutes, and hopefully we get to see a lot more of that. Is there any other surprises that I do? I mean, I guess like Paolo, but like Paolo or Paulo. Paulo is more so like I think a lot of people did expect him to be one of the better rookies that we've seen of all time. So I don't really think that that's necessarily a surprise. There's not really that much surprises in the Eastern Conference. I think that what we've seen so far is really what we're gonna get. The only big surprise is like the Atlanta Hawks being this good this early. I did not expect them to be this good. Dejounte Murray shooting like really well from three, considering how bad he has been for pretty much most of his career. He has been like shooting the best. Yeah, he's shooting a career high in both attempts and efficiency, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully, he's able to like put that up to like 60 or 36 to 35%, something in that range. But one really good thing is that these two are averaging like this amount of assists. They're averaging what a combined set like 16 assists on what like not even that much turnovers, like a combined 5 turnovers, 6 turnovers. That's a really good turnover to assist ratio. They're not really like turning the ball over. And it's such a 3-1. And they're essentially like feeding pretty much everyone on this court. And you may be like, oh, John Collins is shooting not the greatest from the 3-point line, but honestly, he's shooting 60% from the 2-point range. Same thing with Clint Capella. Really good team. This team's offense is honestly going to be really, really good to see once they're starting to click. Yeah, they did lose a game against the Houston Rockets, but I do expect them to really just be one of the better teams going on into the next year, or more so than like the next 60 games of the season. Right now, we're like what a fourth into the season, and we really just seen a lot of like cool stuff so far. Another cool thing, Anthony Simons has been taking up the mantle, especially when Damian Lillard has been out. Really good player, really good player. Same thing with Jeremy Grant. He's actually been playing really, really good ball. Damian Lillard has been playing a little bit more in terms of like the injury ball role, which is it kind of sucks because the first like initial games he was playing really, really, really well. So it really sucks that that's happening. But overall, this team is really, really good, even outside of Damian Lillard. They're averaging what a really, really high amount of like points. Well, at least their net rating is eh. Either way, they're winning games. They're winning games. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. And another thing is that this is definitely the best team, at least in terms of defense, that the Portland Trail Blazers have ever put around Damian Lillard. You feel the defensive rating has said something like that so far. They all are technically, at least to me, one of the better defensive teams because they do have the better wings. They have the better kind of athletic build around Damian Lillard that you really want to see around him. So that's pretty great. Right now, they don't have any standout stats, but that's mostly because Damian Lillard hasn't been playing that much recently. And once he started, play a lot more games, I do expect this team to at least have one of the best offenses in the league. I might as well say something. The Sacramento Kings are also the second best offense in the league. I'm pretty sure the best offense is actually Boston. Yeah, they're the best offense in the league, which is pretty cool. Honestly, I did not expect it to be this good on offense. Same thing with the Cavaliers. They actually have like a really good net rating, like something insane. What else was there to say? Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell's playing like one of the best. Honestly, cut the bullshit. He's playing like a top 7 NBA player. Like, let's just cut the bullshit. Like, he's playing like a top 8, 9, 10 NBA player. Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and Karis LeVert are also providing great roles onto this team. Jared Allen, again, a former All-Star. Evan Mobley is probably going to take another leap next year. This year, he hasn't been taking like the best offensively, but honestly, at least on the defensive end, he's been looking really, really solid. And Karis LeVert is one of the better playmakers in the NBA. Like, not even ironically, like he's actually been putting up some work, and I also really respect him for that. This team is definitely going to be a contender going forward, so I don't think that enough people are really talking about that. Now, in terms of players, I don't think that not a lot of players really surprised us. Right now, the players that are really surprising are actually kind of injured. Besides like Larry Markkinen that I already talked about, I think that some of these guys are just like injured right now, and that's really, really disappointing to see. And honestly, I think that's going to be something that going forward, I think that if we're going to do like a most surprising list in the halfway mark, I think that we're going to see something like Tyrese Maxey being there, even a guy like maybe even Luka Doncic or someone on the Dallas Mavericks being there. Also, shout out to Steph Curry because he's also been playing like one of the best players in the NBA. No cap, like it's looking great. Now, in terms of like Luka Doncic, well, where even is it? Dallas Mavericks being that low and Luka Doncic being that high is kind of nuts to me. And I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But you know what? We ball. One thing. When we talk about like the actual players I actually have up here, we have like Shy. I think I've already talked about him a little bit, but to add a couple more things, him being this good this early on is really good for the Thunder because the Thunder are able to kind of identify their superstar right now. They obviously have him as their forefront, and because of that, they are able to kind of look at this and say that they have the player that they want to build around. And Shy being a top 5 NBA player this season, no joke. He's probably going to keep this if he's able to keep up this pace. And this isn't just like an early game or early season fluke. I'm going to really just stamp Shy as one of the best young talents in the NBA. He's 24. Yeah, he's 24. He's not going to turn 25 until next season. Overall, Shy is one of the best players to ever like touch the floor this season. Like, it's kind of crazy how he's doing everything on like pretty much every side of the ball. Anthony Davis is not going to be playing tonight, honestly, but this is his best season as a Laker. No bullshit. Like, this is his best season as a Laker. You may be like, oh, he's shooting so low from the 3-point. Like, honestly, at this point, I don't even care. I view him as Giannis at this point where, yeah, he's shooting like a 3 or 2 in the game. He may miss it, bro, but like he's shooting so good from everywhere else, it doesn't even matter. Like, what my biggest complaint about Anthony Davis was the mid range shot. He was shooting too much mid range and he wasn't making them enough. He's shooting well from this season. At least like he's shooting well enough for him to like not really be like, oh well, he's shooting way too much from this like angle. Nah, he's shooting enough. Not only that, but he's just stuffing it in the paint. No cap. Like he's so good at the paint right now where it doesn't even matter how much he's shooting from the mid range or even from like the outside point. Like he's actually one of the more dominant players in the NBA so far. And we need to talk about how he's just like a top 10 player now. He's solidified himself as like him. The only problem is he's doing this on a roster with no floor spacing. He's doing it on a roster where he's not really at his full strength. So I want to see what he looks like next year, even though he's probably going to be 30 next year. And I want to see if he's able to like keep up this momentum, like going into the next season where he and LeBron James may actually have to take a decline. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. It's been your boy DMI, aka Neo. This is probably going to be a shorter video, what, 6, 7, like maybe 9 minutes. But yeah, I think that's pretty much going to be it for me. And I'll see y'all later.